Jesus walking on water.
Who is this Jesus that he can feed such a large crowd? With just 5 barley loaves and 2 fish.
People gathered, murmuring among themselves.
Well, he's a prophet.
I wish he would become our king.
This is indeed the prophet who was to come into the world. Who else could he be but the one Moses spoke of and the prophets foretold?
Surely, the Messiah we have been waiting for has come. If Jesus takes over the throne of David and becomes our king,
We will be free from Rome, and the greatest nation on earth will be established here. If we get injured fighting against Rome, who will heal us?
Jesus will.
Jesus will.
if we get hungry,
Jesus will give us bread and fish to eat.
let's now make Jesus our king.
The people wanted to force Jesus to sit on the throne, fulfill their desires. Even Jesus' disciples hoped he would become king. But Jesus was not pleased with their actions. Jesus had to die on the cross to save people from their sins. So Jesus hurriedly told the people to return to their homes. He also instructed his disciples to get into the boat and go ahead of him to Capernaum. After that, Jesus went up on a mountain by himself to pray. The disciples, after waiting for Jesus, got into the boat at night to cross the Sea of Galilee. The disciples were still disappointed that Jesus did not become king.
It would be good if the Lord became king. Why does he refuse?
Next time, we should insist a little more strongly.
That's a good idea.
Just then, a violent storm arose. Huge waves began to crash towards their boat. The disciples rowed with all their might to escape the storm and reach Capernaum. But the boat was driven off course. Moreover, the howling wind and waves seemed like they would shatter the boat and sink it at any moment. The disciples were so exhausted that they gave up rowing, thinking, "This is the end." At that very moment, a faint light approached them on the water. They thought it was a ghost and were even more terrified. But it wasn't a ghost, it was Jesus.
Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid.
Lord, save us!
At this point, Peter spoke.
Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water.
Come.
Peter walked towards Jesus, keeping his eyes on him. Then, pride crept into Peter's heart, and he briefly looked back at his companions.
Are you watching me? I'm walking on water.
As Peter took his eyes off Jesus, a strong wave came between them. A huge wave separated them. At that moment, Peter became afraid, and his faith wavered. He began to sink into the water.
Lord, save me!
Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught Peter.
You have little faith. Why did you doubt?
He said. When Jesus climbed into the boat, the wind died down, and they reached their destination smoothly. Dear children, today's story is about Jesus walking on water. When the disciples' hearts were full of their own desires, a storm arose. But Jesus did not leave them, he came to them. He rescued Peter from sinking and saved the other disciples from the storm. We, too, may face trials because of our greed or lack of faith. But Jesus never abandons us and is always ready to help. So we must always believe in Jesus. Follow Jesus' words.
Take courage. It is I, don't be afraid.
Mark chapter 6 verse 50. Well done. See you again next week. Goodbye.